From the Channel Seed Studios, welcome to The Hook. A look behind the lines with Mike Palm and Ken Miller. Powered by Circa Sports Iowa. Sports betting the way it should be. This is Iowa Everywhere.
Channel Seed. Seedsmanship at work.
And hello again, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of The Hook. My name's Ken Miller. Along with Trent Condon, we talk sports on Des Moines Sports Station, 106.3 KXNO, weekdays from 11 to 1. My partner is Mike Palm, Vice President of Operations at Circa Sports. We catch up with Mike in Naperville, just north of Chicago. No, not Naperville.
Waukegan.
Just north of Chicago, as they had their event party. Circa is live. For those of you watching us here in the state of Illinois, first of all, we're grateful that you are, just like in the state of Iowa. You can download the app. Circa is now in business in Illinois. Mike, you've been out there all week. Good to see you. Is it good to get back to the Midwest?
Oh, yes. And we brought great weather. I mean, the highs have been between 78 and 82, and the lows are like 65, 60. I mean, it's warmer at night than it is in Las Vegas. Las Vegas gets, but I see in the forecast it'll be down in the upper 30s Saturday morning here. So we're leaving at the right time.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, your home state of Iowa. I think it's 55 for a high on Saturday and, low 40s. Anyways, well, good stuff. So what was the reception like, Mike? Was the trip a success?
Oh, I think so. It was really good. We got to do the full tour. I mean, we stayed on the Magnificent Mile the first night. Derek and I got there Monday afternoon, and we did, 670 The Score. We did the Drive the Rock Station. We did ESPN 1000 with Waddle and Sylvie. We did that midday business lunch with John Williams. That was terrific on WGN Radio.
I heard that. It was really
and then
good.
multiple interviews with print journalists. And then we've continued to do radio spots here the last few days. And the reception's been great from everybody. I mean, other than the people that want to tell you about how bad the Bears are and they want Eberflus out, and they're all disgruntled.
Yeah.
You got the Cubs failing to make the playoffs on top of the Bears being winless. So, I mean, the biggest thing here going right now is preseason NHL.
Connor Bedard is the real deal, Mike Palm. Have you seen him play, by the way?
Yeah, I've seen highlights. I have not actually sat and watched a game with it that he's in.
He's special. You know what it likes, the pressure on any Canadian boy to be the next, whether it be Gretzky or before him. Mario Lemieux, and of course Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid.
How can you be Gretzky? I think that's really unfair.
Okay.
To me, Gretzky, when you say which is the greatest player of any sport,
it's him.
Hours over that, because you can argue Jordan. You could argue whatever you want to say, Bonds. You know what I mean? You could, but like, how can anybody? No one will ever argue that Gretzky wasn't, unless you're saying Maurice Richard because you were born in a whole different.
Gordie Howe.
Yeah, but Gretzky just, I mean, to me, I don't think that's the toughest thing to try to be of any other athlete.
Well, and I get such a kick out of this. It's a true story. When his kids were younger, they were in LA at the time, and they were doing a show and tell, and it was Gretzky's kid's turn. And Gretzky said, before his kid went to school, he said, "Dad, what if somebody asked, what records do you have?" And he turned to his kid and he said, "All of them." He has all of them. He literally has all of them, which is just remarkable. I agree with you. But you get my point, though. Connor Bedard is he's the next.
I knew people here and I've worked with here, and obviously I wasn't yet in Vegas when he was with the Kings, but they flew to LA every Kings home game to watch him play. I mean, they flew to LA. Yeah. I mean, more than just a few. I mean, that's.
Yeah, that's the kind of draw. Well, I grew up in Winnipeg, and I was fortunate enough to, just go to the rink and see him 4 times a year, and he set a lot of those records against my Jets. Anyways, let's move on. It's football season. It's also baseball season. Mike, I'm disappointed that we don't have a game 3 in these wild cards. There's been now 8 series, 4 of them last year, 4 of them this year. Only one has got to the pivotal, to deciding game 3. That surprised me.
And it's not biased by home team and say, "Oh, you can't go on the road." It's not. I mean, look at this year, 4-4, home records 4-4. It is strange, though, right? Can't it just? And you look at it and you say, the teams that got to line up their pitchers. No, the team's not necessarily either. There's not really a rhyme or reason to it. Is Trent headed to Houston for the weekend?
No, he's not, but he's already looking ahead to when he can get back up north to the target.
Game 3, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 3:00 game, first pitch here.
How far of a drive is that for you guys? 3 hours?
Well, from Trent, who lives in West Des Moines, it's 3.5 hours. I'm in northern, or 4 hours for me.
3.5.
Ankeny 3.5. So yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad at all, and it's all a straight up I-35.
35 all the way.
Yep, 35, and you're there. Do you have an opinion on any of these 4 series that remain?
I do.
Divisional.
So I'll go through them one by one. I'll start in the National League. I'm going to say that my opinion is that the Phillies are the only team in the National League that can beat Atlanta. Mm-hmm. It would have to be in this round. And I think the series is priced pretty appropriately. I think the Dodgers are way too heavy a favorite.
Yep.
Maybe that's because the familiarity of the division. Arizona led that division for more days than the Dodgers did this year. Remember, they were up 4 or 5 games almost going into the All-Star break, and then the Dodgers win it by 16 or whatever, and you say, that Dodger 14-game win streak or whatever was sort of really an aberration if you go back and look at all the box scores and that. I mean, they've got 2 quality pitchers, Arizona. They got to score some runs, obviously, but I could never lay $2 with the Dodgers. I think that price should be more like what the Braves is. Mm-hmm. I'll go to the Orioles one, and I have friends that have big tickets on the Orioles. Watch out for this, Texas.
I agree.
Bruce Bochy is 37-18 in the playoffs. Okay, his career in Major League Baseball, he's like 8 games under 500. He's 37-18 in the playoffs. Well, since he started with the Giants, right? It scuffled a little bit with the Padres, right? They made one World Series, but they lost. They got beat by the Cardinals a couple times in the divisional rounds. So I think, sure, if Montgomery's pitching the way he is, they become and Scherzer maybe back. And
sounds like it.
They're going to score runs. If there's one team in the American League that's going to score runs, it's Texas. The National League, it's Atlanta. So I like actually Texas. I wouldn't mind looking at Texas on a World Series bet right now. And then I don't know what to make of the 4th one. The Minnesota one, I really have no idea. I'm down on Houston, and those are the ones I have my future tickets on because what became of Framber? 26 straight quality starts, meaning he went 6 innings. Now the guy's at 90 pitches in the 4th inning every game. Yep. And Javier has had a high ERA. I don't love the rest of it. Urquidy finally, came back and pitched decent in Arizona that final weekend, but I'm concerned about Houston. I've always said from the beginning of the year, there's too many automatic outs in their lineup. I think the Twins, who I said I didn't think was a great team because you have no depth of starting pitching. Right. They really can't. I mean, Lopez can get you 6. Nobody else can get you really 6 on that staff.
Sonny Gray went 5 yesterday.
Yeah, he went 5, but the bullpen was lights out. And maybe is it just Toronto who didn't hit for the last 2 months at all? And ran the bases as bad as I've ever seen a team run a bases in a series and all that. Is it? So that's the question. Was it more about Toronto or more about Minnesota? Because you get Jackson, Duran, 8 and 9. If they can go there with the lead, they're going to be awful tough.
Well, you know what? I think it was more about Minnesota, and I think you hit the nail on the head. I think it was about their bullpen, Mike. Mm-hmm. You're right. The Blue Jays ran the bases. I mean, the Vladimir Guerrero getting picked off second base. I mean, you just can't make Bo Bichette jogging into third and thinks he's going to be able to outsprint a baseball. You just can't make that play. But Sonny Gray was terrific. Pablo Lopez, you mentioned, was terrific. Joe Ryan was really good all year.
Yep.
He'll start game 1, I'm assuming, on Saturday afternoon. So, look, for business-wise, for radio-wise, obviously, it's better for business for the Twins to move on. Yep. So we'll see if they can go. I hope they can. I really do. We'll see. Do you remember those Twins World Series teams when you were growing up?
Well, my dad hated it. So first of all, he hated the American League, but he said they should outlaw that big trash bag. Remember they never lost a home game. They never lost a home game. They won each series 4-3, lost on the road, and never won a road game and won every home game. That's Atlanta one time and St. Louis one time.
Yep, you're 100% right.
But people
forget that.
Those were some pretty good. They had some good pitching, and they had those were good teams. I mean, it wasn't just the home field, but it seemed like you couldn't beat them up there.
No, Gaetti.
Garrett Herbeck, Gaetti, and of course
let's go
Kirby.
Around the infield. Herbeck, Steam Lombardozzi, I think was at second, right?
Yeah.
Gaetti at third.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the shortstop name starts with the G.
Gladden.
Gladden was a left fielder.
Left fielder, yeah.
Oh, Greg Gagne was
Gagne,
the
yeah.
short.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Boy, Frank Viola on the mound or Bert Behome.
Blyleven,
Yeah.
Sweet music viola.
Yeah, boy, Frankie was something, wasn't he? He was a heck of a player. Anyways, well, we'll see. I hope it's the Twins. Do you guys need anybody? Is there a team that would hurt Circa as far as futures?
And then they had Morris the second time around, right?
Yeah. Who went 10 against Smoltz.
Yep. The 1-0 game, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, I was looking at the futures.
Yeah.
There's only one team that hurts us. I'll let you guess. There's 8 teams left. How many guesses will Ken need? I'll give you 3.5 guesses to get it. Over under 3.5. Wrong.
Baltimore.
Wrong.
Not Minnesota. Not Houston.
Yep.
Arizona?
No, Houston.
Is it Houston?
Houston. Yep. It's
Why?
Houston.
They were never a big price, were they?
Nope. But we had that guy make a bet on him during the year.
Mattress Matt stopped by?
Yeah. Not huge.
Yeah.
Not huge, but I think it's to win $500,000. So that makes it the only loser for us.
Right.
We're great. We're great to the Braves. We're great to the Dodgers. It's amazing,
Phillies too?
Phillies is not bad. We win small to the Phillies.
Yeah. Well, that's good. So Mattress Max now doing business with Circa.
Yeah, he's been for years, right? I mean, the year they lost to the Nationals, not only did he bet him to win the American League, which he won, he bet him to win the World Series, and he was betting almost every game with us for $250,000 too. So,
didn't he show up at one of the properties in the state of Iowa? Didn't he have a World Series bet last year?
No, the two casinos that went out of business took his bet, and they couldn't pay it. They took bets to win 10 times what they wrote the whole year. I mean, it was ludicrous, and they both went bankrupt.
Wow, that's unbelievable. Well,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. Can Houston win? Do you give them a chance?
I don't know.
I don't either.
I don't see it. I think, Minnesota's the play in the series. I mean, I wouldn't lay it with Houston. I don't know. They've been there, they've done that, right? But they're going to have to figure out their pitching. The bullpen, struggled at the end.
Verlander's old.
So I asked Josh Towers, who is on the VSiN and won a World Series, pitched for Toronto. That was killing him. He was texting me nonstop about when he took Berrios out, he lost his mind. He goes, "This was worse than when they took Snell out in the World Series. This is absolutely ludicrous. Yeah. He's cruising, and you pull him out because that was the plan." He goes, "This is so bad." Anyhow, I said to him last Friday, I said, "Okay, Josh, you're a manager of any of the pitchers that might be a starting pitcher in the playoffs, because the Cubs were technically still, not everything was known. And it's one game, game 7. Who are you giving the ball to? You can take any starting pitcher on any of the playoff teams." And he said, "It's not Snell because he takes too many pitches to get through 5. It's not Cole because he's failed in these big spots before, like in the wild card spots." He said, "It's probably Justin Verlander."
Is that right?
Yeah.
Even as his age?
Yeah, that's what he said to me.
Wow.
I don't know. I don't know that there's anybody pitching better than Montgomery. Have you gone back and looked at his stats?
How about the play he made in the field?
Kenny, I think it's 10 straight starts. He's given up 1 or 0 runs. And the one run he gave up in Seattle, it hit the right fielder's glove and went up over the wall. It shouldn't have been anything on that Thursday night in Seattle. Everything he throws goes down. Yep.
I got them at 35-1 prior to the season.
Remember, I bet Texas and the Cubs over the Wins, which both of them win. Yeah. Right. But those were the 2 teams I was.
What was Texas? 80?
81. 81. And the Cubs was 77.5.
Yep. That was the only one that I bet was the Cubs. I bet a lot of exactas with either Toronto winning or finishing on the losing end. But boy, oh boy, I love those exactas, Mike. You guys put some out. When was it? Early in the week, maybe Sunday or Monday. I went back for more.
Yeah, Monday we put them back up.
And I left my money there. Let's talk a little bit of football. How big is San Francisco, Dallas going to be as far as right?
Oh, huge.
Yeah.
It's the primetime game. It's a national brand, the best team in the right, and you still have a little local influence of San Francisco. It'll be off the charts. I mean, this is a week where there'll be no doubt what the biggest right game will be.
Yeah. Is there? Do you have an opinion on that game?
I like to see the game start because I don't think Dallas can play from behind. I think they're good front runners. Dak's a good front runner.
Yeah.
When they get behind, he starts pressing. And here's the other thing. They get beat twice in a row by San Francisco in the playoffs. And Dallas's weakness on defense is stopping the run. And San Francisco can run the ball. I lean heavily to San Francisco, but I don't want to really lay 4, but I'll probably wait to see. And if San Francisco can get the lead in the ball, even if I have to, lay 8 or something, I just think they will crush them if they get out to a lead.
No chance that number gets back to 3. Is
No,
there?
zero.
Yeah.
Look at Purdy's stats are unbelievable if you really dive into them.
Yeah.
And everybody says, "Oh, Mr. Irrelevant," and nobody's really giving this kid credit. Look at the numbers for whatever number of games it is, 12 or whatever he's played, and he's undefeated, right? He only lost one game. He's played 3 quarters, and they've never.
Right.
There's no other quarterback in the last 60 years that comes close to any statistical category against it. It's amazing. In their first 12 or whatever, how many games he's played, for whatever it is, right? 12, 14, whatever that is.
I know there's a lot of pro athletes that do a lot of good things in the community. Did you see how he spent his off day in San Francisco?
No, I did not.
He put on his number 13 jersey, his Niners jersey, and went to a boys and girls club with a bunch of underprivileged kids, and just absolutely made their day. I had a tear in my eye watching it. I'll be honest with you. I love to see those type of things. And here's a kid who we watched in college, and he was a really good college player. There's no way in heck he's going to translate into the NFL game, and yet here he is. He's unbelievable, both as a person and as a quarterback. It's hard not to root for those type of guys. What else from this weekend?
Kenny, did you get to know him at all?
No, never did. Never did. Nope, never did. We're both December 27th in the 1227 club as far as our birthday. That's as close as I got to him. So let me ask
27. That's my son's birthday too.
Yeah, I remember that. Remember that from last year, I think, or 2 years ago. He told me. What did last Sunday morning the NFL game do that was only on? Where was it? It was ESPN Plus. Did you guys do much right on that game at all?
No. Early game.
Early, right?
Early, and Atlanta, Jacksonville, and no, it was the worst. It was the lowest of the week.
Yeah, I bet it was. What else this weekend with Green Bay coming to Las Vegas? I've told our audience on the radio, it's going to be, 40% Green Bay fans.
Pittsburgh took over the town with Pittsburgh. I think Green Bay, it will be more with Green Bay. I bet you it's 65% Green Bay fans.
Yeah. I've been to 3 Super Bowls, one of which was Green Bay, one of which was Pittsburgh. And the fans, the support, Mike, there was a bunch of Packer and Steeler fans that didn't have tickets to the game.
Yeah.
They just wanted to get close to the stadium and be a part of it. They travel like nothing else. Are you guys full on Monday night?
Full. Yep. Mm-hmm.
What do you think of Jordan Love?
I was higher on him before the season than I am now.
Yeah.
And I thought he was okay the first game. He scores on the first drive of the game for scores, but the Thursday night performance,
yeesh.
It was 3 steps back for me on Jordan Love.
Right. I mean, was it Detroit? Was it more so Detroit, or was it Love?
He was holding the ball so darn long and not like he can't make a decision, right? I mean, I give him credit. They came back out in the second half, and at least they made half of a game of it. Because the first half, it looked like that game could have been 50-0. Mm-hmm. So this leads me to the thing I'd like to talk about before we go, Ken.
Yeah.
Is Survivor this week.
Oh.
So it's interesting because I've now talked to in person 4 people that are still in Survivor. One I just got off the radio, Mike Rizzo in Peoria. His uncle put him and some guys in. He put up the money for a couple entries and said, we'll split it all if you guys. They're still in. I've talked to 2 different people in Waukegan here that came for our event yesterday that are still in. I think it's an interesting week. Personally, I'm going to tell you who I would take and why.
Okay. Yeah.
I would take Miami against the Giants this week. And my reason is I think you have to save Green Bay for Thanksgiving now. I would have never said that at Detroit for Thanksgiving now. Mm-hmm. I would have never said it at the start of the year, but they dominated that game at Lambeau. Mm-hmm. They'll be at home. I think you want to have both Detroit and Dallas in your pocket heading into Thanksgiving, if you can.
Right.
Now, here's interesting because 2 of the 4 people told me they're taking Detroit against Carolina this week. Mm-hmm. And the other two told me they're taking the Commanders tonight.
Is that right?
Yeah. And these are Chicago people, obviously. They hate this Eberflus so bad. I mean, I said they're not firing them. Why would they fire him now?
Not now. They'll
Well,
probably
they have to go out.
yeah,
They're going to have the picks. They might have 1, 2.
they should. Yeah.
Go out and get a coach that makes it very attractive for him that you're going to have those picks. Go out and they've had a terrible run since hiring Lovey, haven't they? It's been
awful.
Really, really bad run.
Yeah, really. And such a good town. I mean, those fans deserve more. We shall see. What about college this weekend? Oklahoma, Texas. What time? It's 9:00 Pacific for that game. Big game, big day for that spot. Big right.
It always, we always have a bunch of people at the bar. We get some Oklahoma fans every week too. I mean, they were yelling Boomers sooner because I had the Iowa State Oklahoma volume on at Bar Canada Saturday, and we had Oklahoma people there. Every first down, Boomer sooner. Anyhow, and Texas always has fans everywhere. And that's always that early game, but people come out for it. The question is, Oklahoma defense has been much better, but did they play anybody, right? Nobody in the top 70. So that's the question. Can they slow down Texas? Texas is really good. You know that they killed Kansas. I mean, they were like 4-1 yards and they missed field goals and all, but they really killed Kansas. Wyoming played the best game against them of anybody.
Maybe.
To be honest with you. For 3 quarters, Wyoming played the best game against them. So I lean Texas. But I know Venables will eventually make that Oklahoma defense decent. I mean, that's Dabo sure misses him, I think,
Sure he does.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but it'll do a good amount of right. It'll have a big interest early in the day.
One more, and then I want to pick your brain because I was watching Iowa Everywhere last night. Not the entire sit down with Nick Hosen and Jake, but I saw some of it at the end. Texas A&M and Alabama. I mean, you can get Alabama and you don't have to lay more than a field goal. That doesn't happen very often. I like Max Johnson, Brad's kid. He's got the gig. But there's what's the kid's name? Milroe, the new quarterback for Alabama.
Jalen Milroe.
He's hit and miss. But if I only have to give up 3, you don't see that very much with Alabama. For that reason, I think I got to take them.
This Texas A&M team is sneaky good. Their defense gets after you in the backfield. It's tough to run the ball. I've been really impressed with them and it flatters their performance against Auburn, who couldn't do a thing when Auburn competed with Georgia. I had to stay away from that game because I wanted to play Alabama, but the more I thought of it, and I've watched now a good amount of tape on A&M. I like Max Johnson too. I think if you give him time, you give him a few seconds, he's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
How big is Brad Johnson? My God, I was watching him. They had that game in Dallas against Arkansas. This guy is bigger than he ever was, but I guess they work out with Witten all the time.
Oh, right? Is that right?
The boys, Witten started working out with him and the boys a few years ago. They're real close with Jason Witten, and his arms are bigger than my torso.
He's a big boy, and he's got a Super Bowl ring.
Can we talk about Iowa?
Let's talk about both Iowa and Iowa State before we go. Hawks first. Go ahead.
But am I wrong here? Isn't Purdue a better team than Iowa coming in here on?
I have no idea what to make of Iowa's offense. They're going to get Caleb Johnson back. They're one of their running backs, their best running back. The offensive line is not good. They have pedestrian wide receivers. Eric All, their tight end, is good, but I just don't know anything about Deacon Hill. Now that there's tape that you can actually plug in on Deacon Hill playing collegiate football, what's that going to do, right? Purdue's running back was a receiver at Iowa. He wanted to play running back, Tyrone Tracy. Now he's Purdue's starting running back. If I was betting this game, I would bet Purdue. Is that your side?
I took it at 3. Now I know it's down to 2. Yeah. I think Purdue wins the game. Look, they've played 6 really good quarters in a row.
Yeah.
They were the better team in the second half against Wisconsin, and they just dominated Illinois start to finish.
They did,
I took Illinois at a pick. I had 220 on Illinois at a pick before the game. I bet 550 on Purdue pick second half, and I know they were up 3, and I could have middled but yeah, and they killed them. It was 21. They were up 21 by the end of the third quarter in the second half. I mean, I think Iowa. I just don't. I know McNamara was limited in his mobility, but boy, I don't know how they can move the ball. I think they have to be so perfect, right? The special teams has to dominate. They can't turn the ball over. They can't give up any big plays. Purdue will test them over the top like nobody has before.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be a long afternoon at Kinnick.
Really?
I do. I think this could get ugly.
Interesting. Well, we'll see. Peacock's got that game. So you guys have Peacock now? Did you have to get
Yeah.
the Peacock package?
Yeah. I see they had the Michigan State Iowa game. And I was sitting there and I was just getting done doing my show, the 1 to 4 on Saturday. And I looked up and I said, that looks like Kinnick, but who are those 4 people sitting on a set? I go, there's 2 women. I go, what is this? What is this, Nickelodeon? And then I saw the little, Peacock, the NBC symbol. I said, oh, okay, that's what it is.
Yeah, they've got the game again this week. All right, so I know that you took Iowa State this week. TCU's what, a 5.5 point favorite is it down to now? TCU, Iowa State.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's a big day in Ames tomorrow, Jack Trice Legacy Day. They're going to honor the player that their stadium is named after. It's a great story. The crowd's going to be in full throat, as you know. They'll be tailgating all day. TCU, I like Morris, the quarterback, but I certainly don't like that defense, Mike. And I think Rocco Becht is getting better. This young offense, they've got some parts. You are on Iowa State, and you're going to lay the 5.5, 6 points tomorrow?
Take.
Yeah,
I think they win the game, actually. That defense is bad.
Yeah.
And that's going to be quite the atmosphere, really tough spot for TCU to come in. If Becht can be any good at all. Now, you could argue Becht's not the guy to take advantage of it, but Campbell's a good enough coach to slow this game down when TCU has the ball, because TCU wants to play with pace.
Yep.
Slow this game down. And if you don't let teams run, they can't play with pace, right? They got to be able to run on first down to play with pace, because once they get behind the sticks, they slow down. Behind the chains, they slow down. So, I liked Iowa State against Oklahoma State. I laid the 18 with Oklahoma, and I thought, oh, God, it was 21-20, but then it 50-20 it finished.
Yeah.
I'm back on them this week, and I think I've been right on them in all these games, right? And I've been right on them. I've been right in the Ohio game. I've been right, but I'm back and forth with it. It's not I'm just all anti-Campbell because I think he's, I don't care for him. But, I think that atmosphere will be tremendous. That would be a place to be, obviously, this weekend, is to be in Ames.
Yeah, it'll be a blast. Last thing, is there a game, either pro or college, that you've noticed the pros are starting to gravitate towards?
Not really.
Nothing?
No, not really. But then I haven't followed really as close being out here.
You've been gone all week, sure. Yeah, good stuff. Well, safe trip home. Appreciate you doing this as always. Congratulations to you and Derek and your whole team for cutting the ribbon in Illinois this weekend. And sounds like Kentucky at some point is going to be next. So it's good to see Circa's expanding throughout the country. Good stuff, Mike. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week. For Mike Palm, Aiden White behind the scenes, I'm Ken Miller. We'll see you next time. Iowa Everywhere. This is The Hook, sponsored by Circa Sports here in Iowa. We'll see you again.